Welcome back, everybody. The History Guy here. This is it. The grand battle for Washington. It is April 10th, 1865. On our historical timeline, this would be the day after Lee's surrender at Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia. Obviously, we are not there. We are in a final showdown for the city of Washington. Just a quick overview of the situation. You'll notice I have money and a little bit of manpower. Now, that's kind of intentional, kind of not. I basically ran out of guns. I want to save the money rather than spending it on a couple more guns that might help me. I want to save the money because I've got 4 corps with 35,000 supplies, and I know I'm going to need them for the counterattack when it comes. So I want to have money to replenish those supplies. I'm also basically out of guns, except there's a few that I can purchase, but it would be expensive. So I'm hoping that when I go back to camp in between days on this battle, that I will have captured some guns that I can use to replenish my troops. So that 8,000 men will hopefully replenish a few of my units. Gives me a little bit of flexibility on the reserve. And I just don't think that the extra men right now, by depleting all my money, would have been worth it to kind of fill up my numbers a little bit. So, having beaten the army at Cold Harbor, I reduce him by 10%. 10% morale boost because of the siege of Vicksburg, and hit to his enemy, to his weapons because of Nashville. Now you'll still see that they have 76 to 81% in the armory, 53% to 58% in training, and only 49 to 54K in the army. But as I've previously alluded to, completely meaningless. Because no matter what that number looks like, as I've done multiple kind of playthroughs of the last few battles to see if that gets affected, this number is exactly the same. Whether he's got 70-some thousand men in his force pool or 40,000, he's still going to have 99,592 at Washington, D.C. So that's the number you're going to face no matter what, which is why I chose to preserve my army in the last several battles. And rather than trying to inflict max casualties on him, I wanted to try and have as many men possible for me to give myself a chance to win, so that I have a little bit of an advantage there. So, looking at my forces, what I've done in my 1st and 2nd Corps primarily is in each of my, well, we'll go back and look at it. In each of my divisions, what I've done is I've constituted them like this. I've put 2 assault brigades with farmer rifles. Had to use those up. I had them, and I had the manpower. 2 assault brigades, a couple of 2- or 3-star units in each one where possible, and then 2 batteries of artillery to help support. So that's what the 1st Corps looks like. You can see 2 assault brigades in each one. They will lead the attacks on the forts. They will be the ones who take the majority of the casualties, hopefully. Only 1 assault down here, just because I ran out of farmers for them. Same thing in the 2nd Corps, and then the 3rd and 4th Corps I just filled out with whatever I had left. So that's what it looks like. And I'm not going to worry about putting in a corps for the flank attack on the right. You're not required to do that, and I just don't have the manpower for it. So basically this is what it's going to look like. And then we give another corps to the main attack up here. So I'm going to go in with about 128,000 men and 300 guns to go up against his 99,391 guns, knowing that he's going to have a bunch more men to counterattack later on. It's been a long time since I played this battle. I'm really not sure how it's going to go, but we're going to do everything we can to win it today. All right, so phase 1 opens up here. I believe this is over on the northwest side, so this would actually be the 2nd Corps. It's not the main assault. I'm going to be cautious because I know you don't have to take the fort in the initial rush. There's a lot of time available, if I remember right. It kind of bounces back and forth, so I want to try and soften them up as much as I can early on. So I fully anticipate this is a multiple episode finale, and that's totally fine with me. But just to kind of give you a heads up as far as what I'm looking at down the road with Ultimate General Civil War, I don't want to completely abandon it because I know that it's pretty much the reason a lot of you first found this channel, since it's kind of the bread and butter for me as far as the series go. Since I still have the Union live stream campaign that I'm playing, I'm not going to immediately start another campaign once this one's done, but I thought I would do some fun things. Just mix it up a little bit. So I might do some historical battles. I might try some challenges where maybe I go through a campaign and do certain things. For example, maybe no artillery and just use infantry and see how that goes. Things like that. So if you have any specific ideas or requests for a particular challenge you want me to try, like, you know, maybe I do something like Pickett's Charge and I only use cavalry. I don't know. So things like that, something out of the box, something that might just be fun and unique. Go ahead over to the Discord and let me know that, or you can use the comment section below here and just give me your thoughts on that. But on the Discord, if you just go to the Ultimate General Civil War part of the Discord page, you can use that for that discussion. Just thought it might be fun to do something a little unique there. It's interesting, my volume keeps going all the way down on my computer. I keep wondering why I don't hear the men marching anymore. So like I said, I'm going to take it slow here. The first fort is right here. It's Fort Derussy. If you're not familiar with the Civil War, by the middle of the Civil War, Washington, D.C. was the most fortified city on the planet. There was really no chance the Confederates were ever going to attack it. It was ringed by dozens and dozens of these forts, and they were manned by these units that were called heavy artillery regiments. Now, in 1864, when Grant knew that really there was no major threat anymore to Washington, he actually pulled all of those heavy artillery regiments out of the area around D.C. and brought them into the Army. My wife's great-great-great-grandfather, Charles Miller, was in the 2nd Pennsylvania Heavy Artillery, so he was in one of those units. He ended up losing a leg at Petersburg and had it amputated by a Confederate surgeon after he had been captured during an assault. He briefly spent some time in Libby Prison, which I always find interesting because he was a private, and Libby Prison was a prison for officers, but I would guess by that point in the war they were just throwing whoever into those prisons. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and drop out here while I get the rest of my army up, and we'll get going. All right, so we're getting him just about in position. You can see his artillery is already firing on me. I've already lost 67 men in this unit. I've lost 82 in this one. So as soon as I get my guns into position, I'm going to go ahead and launch this attack, because he's only got about 11,000 men right now, and I'm guessing they're not all in the fort. So I've got him 3-1. I got to take advantage of that because I know he'll be getting some more men coming up. So my guns are just about to begin firing once I can see him, which right now I can't even see him because I'm just not close enough to the fort. Alright, I'm going to start bringing up my second line. And as they come up, I'll begin the process with my first line. And then as soon as I can see him, my guns can start firing. But these guys are just going to take casualties no matter what. So there's not a lot I can do about that. And once I secure the fort, I'll bring the guns across. There we go. We can see him now. I'm going to pause for just a second because what I want to do is I want to get... Okay, these 24-pounders aren't in range. They've got to move up. But everybody else, I think I'm going to start by firing on his guns. Because I've got a lot of rifled artillery. That was a decision I made pretty early on in the campaign, to primarily go with rifled artillery and then just use my smoothbores whenever I was fighting a defensive battle. I'm going to issue their orders to go right through so that they don't stop and start shooting. I want them to just move into the fort. Not sure why I have a 2-star unit as an assault. These lead units are going to take a lot of casualties. But once I'm in the fort, then the casualties go the other direction. Alright, let's run, boys. That canister fire is just awful coming out of there. And I don't have any major generals left, so unfortunately that's kind of a problem I'm going to have with leadership as I start losing generals. Alright, let's pause for a second here. Okay. Keep them all moving. Just got to keep moving until I get through the fort. These are always going to be the hardest parts of this battle. Hexamer got routed, but he did at least temporarily drive him off. That's just kind of how this is going to go. The losses taking these forts. But the good news is when the counterattack comes, he's going to have the same problem. And he probably won't be smart enough to do a mass assault like this. I don't even want to think about what the casualties look like right now. But this first phase is about to be over. Got just one more minute to go. And then we're going to open up, I think, over on the northeast side. Wow, just watching these numbers down is disheartening. All right, we're on to Fort Stevens. So all it does is open up the next side. We're going to finish this battle now. It's interesting that all of my artillery is exhausted when they're just kind of standing there, but alright, we're going to keep focusing on this fort for the time being. And while I do that, I've got to start moving into position for the second one. And we start with the assault brigades again. Let me take a look at Fort Stevens. I think I'll bring them up to about right here for now. Let's find my other assault units. Right there. And right there. We'll bring them right there. And then we'll worry about bringing up the others behind them. And all the guns. And here come more. Alright, perfect. So again, I should have a pretty good size advantage on the field. He's got 41,000 men now at this point. Fort Derussy is pretty much ours at this point. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the guns. And with it comes supplies, which is really handy. Now we gotta focus on the in-between areas here now that I'll be taking the fortifications inside. Alright, gonna be a lot of pausing here as I adjust to the situations on the ground. We've got a couple of units out here defending, so we're gonna go ahead and send in the assault units to deal with them. I'm also going to be saving a lot, so when I take these little breaks and I tell you I'm going to pause for a second, that's usually because I'm also going in and saving the game at that point. because I know that it's going to be meticulous just having a chance to win this one. All right. Got to keep one eye on what's happening over here. I'm going to go into slow-mo mode, I think, for the time being. And we're just going to kind of go into a defensive position now on this side. Gotta stop these guns before they start marching right into his lines. He's coming out to meet me here, so I'm not initially gonna be able to march right on that fort. And then there's gonna be another fort down here that I've got to take. I think it's Fort Slocum. We're going to pause these guys right here where they are. Make sure all these guns are coming up. Especially the 24-pounders. I want to get them into the fort. I don't have any smoothbores over here right now. So the 24-pounders are the best I've got for putting in the fort. Whoa, timeout, Hoffman. You guys hang tight right there. In fact, I'm going to back them up. Those are my sharpshooters. Let's take a look real quick at what the casualties look like at this point. So he's only lost about 1,400 men to my 4,000. But we knew that would be the case. And if I can do something similar for each of the forts, I'll be okay, because I'll have enough men to defend against his counterattack when it comes on day 2. Alright, let's hang tight right here. Okay, and at this point now we're turning into defensive mode. At least for the time being. What I want to do now is hopefully I can start taking out some of this artillery once I've got mine moved up. Yeah, he's out here all the way along the line trying to hold me, so he's going to inflict a lot of casualties even before I get to the fort. I'm going to move up these howitzers because they're not going to do much from back there. Whoa, slow down there, supplies. Good news is I'm going to get in behind a couple of these units here. I got to be careful though, because he's sending more up. And back over here. Oh, those aren't necessarily sharpshooters. They're just Whitworth 45s. They don't have the long range ones. Still about 2 hours to go on this phase. Then I think we open up to Fort Slocum. Or we go to the right. I don't know if we go to the other flanks and then come back here. I'm trying to remember how it works. just pull these guys back until I can take out these guns. Alright, he's coming back with a counterattack, it looks like. Maybe. Let's get these guys down on the flanks. Heavy artillery is reinforcing the enemy. Well, we kind of knew that would happen. He's going to have those big guns here. Well, let's look at what the numbers look like now. Yeah, you know what? Let's use my assault brigades to take out this artillery. Alright, casualties now. Now I've taken out about 3,000 of his men. I've lost 6,600. So a little better than 2 to 1 for him. But as I get these forts, that will stabilize. Let's see how many supplies are in this fort. Oh, there's 41,000 supplies still in that fort. That's awesome. Because I also have my own supply. Oh, here it is right here. Alright, we wiped out that battery. Now we gotta drive these guys off. We'll start moving up these guns in anticipation of driving off this last brigade. This first Ohio battery is about to be destroyed. So I've already taken out like 60 of his guns, so that's really good news. Alright, we've driven off most of the initial line. I've still got a little ways to go before I even hit Fort Stevens, and I can probably send some help from Fort Derussy if I need to. Maybe send a couple of my assault brigades over that way. In fact, I think I'll start working on that now. Like Morrison, he only lost 300 men. I say only, but really that's not a lot when you think about these assaults. So we'll send those 2 assault units over there. We'll keep my guns firing because I've got plenty of supply right now. And I'm going to pause again right here. Alright, hour and 38 to go. Let's start moving up slowly. I'm going to keep my guns moving, keep everybody moving as best I can. We got another line of defense here coming up. One of my units get driven off, or did I just move them? I want to take out his guns. Alright, he's still got, looks like I'm getting more reinforcements. So I'm up to 84,000 men against his 38,000. These are some of my 3rd Corps units now, so they're not as strong. A lot of new units. Some of them don't have that many men because I ran out of guns for those particular types. Once I get these 2 assault brigades in place, I can start thinking about my assault here, but I really want to drive off these units before I do that. I'm going to move the guns over this way so they can help against the fort. For now, we'll just tell all these guys just to move up to here. And then I can figure out what I want to do with them from there. Somebody's assaulting my fort. Okay. Interesting. Oh, he hit my 3-star unit and one of my batteries, which for some reason's moving. I think because I told him to fire on that battery, they moved up to get into position. Big mistake by Farnsworth. I think Elon Farnsworth was the guy who made the ill-advised cavalry charge at Gettysburg on day 3. I'm assuming that's who that is, or at least that's where the name came from. Alright, we gotta keep moving. I want to at least be in the process of taking Fort Stevens when this timer runs out. See, while I'm out here in the open, I want to try and keep this nice cohesive battle line, just to overwhelm these guys and try to take them out as much as possible. You can see my units are already exhausted, and they haven't even gotten to the fort yet. Inyurt's assault at 0 condition. These guys are at 100. Paper collar's right there, but I don't want to use them. I don't have enough support up yet for this attack. I need to get these other units into position. So the good news is, if you're playing through this and you find yourself thinking you don't have enough men when you see that 99,500 for DC, then keep in mind the fact that, at least in the early stages, he doesn't have most of those men. I mean, we're looking here at less than half of his army, and we're looking at 3 of my 4 corps, or at least elements of 3 of my 4 corps. So I've got a pretty decent advantage, even though I don't outnumber him by that much in this battle. So that should at least give you a little bit of comfort. Now, again, granted, he's going to have far more men coming in a counterattack to take the city back at the end, and I don't know how many that is going to be. I may have done this too early. Just thinking about, you know, the fact that I haven't sent all that many men in. But this fort's a little wider, and I think that punching a hole in his line might be a little easier on this one than on Fort Derussy. I want to get these guys firing. Now I've got some smoothbores over here, so I'll be able to put those in the fort. The other thing, when I was building my army, I think I may not have mentioned this, is that I ran out of commanders pretty fast, so I've got a ton of majors. I tried to put all my majors in charge of batteries and of cavalry units, so I could reserve my colonel and up for infantry brigades, but in the last few brigades that I built, I had to use majors for those as well. I hate the fact that I had to use a 3-star brigade in this assault, but It's just the way it's got to be right now. There's Stannard. That would be the real paper color brigade. I'm not sure where mine is. I think they're over here. They may be in the second or one of the other corps. I'm not sure. Alright, we gotta drive this guy out of here. Yeah, I'll say I secured Fort Stevens when I see all of these Union soldiers out of that fort and I'm occupying the walls. Until then, no. Hit these guns, finish them off. Alright, he's rushing units over now. We're going to come down and try to give them another target. I think some of these guys still have run orders from when I took the fort, so I gotta be careful with that. Alright. The fort's pretty well ours. Actually want to get some of these better units up on the walls now. Oh boy, no, boys. No. I appreciate the enthusiasm. These guys went after that battery and chased him right out of the fort. Get out, get out. Alright, so now what I've got to do is just kind of get, first of all, get these guys the heck out of there. But get this fort occupied. Make sure everybody that I've given advance orders to stops advancing now. Alright, Fort Slocum is the new target. Alright, here we go. So now we're opening up and we have Fort Slocum as the new target. That's down here in the corner. It's not usually real heavily defended. My last reinforcements are up, but they're only guns primarily, so I'm going to have to use my existing units to push over there. But again, I should be able to do that. Looking at the numbers right now, I've now taken out about 9,500 of his men. I've lost about 15,000. That's really understandable considering. Good news is I've lost only 2 guns, and I've reduced him dramatically in the number of guns that he has. And most of the losses have already been suffered as far as I'm concerned. I got to go over and replenish the ammo on these guys, but I've got to start moving down toward Fort Slocum now. And we'll use Fort Stevens as a base for driving these guys back. I want to try and get some guns up in here. I've got some smoothbores to do that. So for the most part, at least for now, I'm going to hold back on this side. Use the forts to my advantage. I'm going to keep bringing these guns up though. Yankee cavalry harassing our flank, that's fine, whatever. Whoa, Gladden, I don't know what you're doing, buddy, but let's turn it around. I've got some mounted infantry I can take over there. So now I really don't want to assault these guys. I just want to shoot at them from the forts. I've got my howitzers coming up. Those are going to help with that. Start getting some canister fire down on them. They won't be able to last there. Just want to take a look real quick. Okay, he's coming at me now. That's interesting. This will not end well for you, sir. But I'm totally okay with it. I just want to kind of keep track of the advantage I have right now. It's 42,500 men. I want to see how that changes. I'm gonna move these guys up a little bit because now that he's being fired on from the side here, it'll help if I can hit him from this side too. Anyway, I want to look at the victory conditions. I need to hold basically everything. There's no other option. So I'll have Fort Slocum here in a little while. I'll need Fort Washington, Fort Thomas, and Washington itself, and those all come later. And those will be a little harder. Alright, so there he's being driven out. Keep these guys supplied as best I can. Alright, I've got a 43,000 man advantage now. I'm keeping my line solid. I've eventually got to start swinging down to hit Fort Slocum. Alright, let's overrun these guns. I want to keep my artillery behind my lines as best I can. There we go, let's take out this battery. still about a 43,000 man advantage. Best news is he's down just 107 guns. But again, I don't know what he's bringing up in the counterattack. I just know it's going to be ugly. Alright, we're going to have to start making our way over toward Fort Slocum at some point fairly soon. I'm just trying to inflict as many casualties before that as I can. I'm guessing that's where most of his men are going, though he's got quite a bit down here, so. Alright, let's pause again. Okay, it's time to start making my move toward Fort Stevens, and unfortunately, just the reality of the situation is that the men that are going to be asked to do that are going to be exhausted because they've already been fighting, and now they've got to make this long march over to my left flank. But that's just the way it's got to be. Looks like we got some guns that need some ammo. Oh, so he's reoccupied these fortifications, which is really fascinating. See, Haygood's assaults lost 1,200 men, but that was the point of those assault units, was to take those casualties so that my better equipped, more effective soldiers wouldn't have to. Pull these sharpshooters back for now. Alright, I'm tired of these guys. I'm just going to use my assault troops the way they were meant to be used. I'm kind of counting on the fact that there won't be that many men occupying Fort Stevens. Or Fort Slocum. Trying to keep all my forts straight. Let's take out these guns. These are howitzers. They really should be up in the fort. Whoa. Got another excited unit that wants to take DC all by himself. Alright, I gotta get down and hit these guys, otherwise I'm gonna have these batteries firing on my flank. Alright, my advantage now is about 45,000 men. And he's got, looks like he moved standard over here unless he's got 2 standards. I may not have enough to do this. Alright, I'm going to drop out here and then get myself in position for this assault and then come back with that. Okay, just 22 minutes to go, and I'm finding that I just don't think it's advisable to go after Fort Slocum quite yet. I mean, I've got the men over here that I could probably do it with. Well, okay, their morale and condition is pretty good. So I may run out of time. But it's only 1:40 in the afternoon. I want to drive these guys off first, though, because I don't want to be getting shot in my flank. There we go. So obviously, there's no way that 3 brigades, depleted brigades of infantry, are going to be enough to do this. But I've got to use what I've got. Yikes. They stubbornly defend, and we're going to stop right there. That's a great stopping point before we move on to episode 2 of the assault on Washington. So far, so good. Not real excited about the way Fort Slocum is going, but I just didn't have that many men over there, and I just didn't want to completely shift my whole army just to get enough to take that fort. I'll take it. It's just going to be pretty thin over on that side. But I'd love to know your thoughts, your observations, your questions, your comments, and in all that, use the comment section below. Please hit that thumbs up, and we'll be back with part 2 of Washington tomorrow. So thanks for watching, guys.